Key code. Support Strategist. By Clouds. Man in the Clouds Not Coming Down. On AO3. Chapter 85. Brothers. There was a long moment of awkward silence, as the heroes just stared at Dabi, who stared right back. Should thought Midoriya was completely insane for opening the door like he was inviting in a friend, not a villain. But he had to respect the authority of power move. It immediately put the heroes at an advantage and took away the element of surprise that Dabi had almost definitely been counting on. Finally, Nezu broke the scene. "Oh, my, this office is getting rather crowded, isn't it?" Dabi's response by sending a stream of fire directly at Shigaraki, but Shoto created a nice wall to protect him just in time. The wall melted immediately under the heat of Dabi's flame, and Shoto glared at him. "Don't you dare touch him." Eper hissed in agreement, and launched herself at Dabi, scratching at his scars and staples on his face until Dabi ripped her off and flung her away with a scoff. "Get out of my way, Shoto Todoroki." "So Mineta told you my name." Shoto rolled his eyes. "How impressive." Aizawa stepped in front of them. "Cheat code. You take the others back to your lab, use the tunnels, we'll deal with him." "Fat chance." Dabi tried to shoot more fire, but Aizawa shot him a glare. "Oh, fuck this." He reached his hand into his pocket and grabbed something. Aizawa rushed forward, but Dabi just smirked. "Too late. He's already on his way." Nezu's fur stood on ends. "And who would that be?" A swirl of purple mist appeared in the middle of the room, and Kirigiri stepped out. "You called." Mineta was stuck to the wall, hiding in a pinch of shadows near the ceiling, as he watched the students gathering. The Pussycats were doing a head count of all the students, while the UA teachers stood off to one side, handcuffing all the villains that the students had managed to take down. They had done a lot better than he thought they would. Or maybe it was just that his allies had done worse, because the only villains missing from the captured pile were Dabi, Kirigiri, and himself. And now the lights were back on. This entire attack was turning into a disaster, and Mineta didn't know how to turn it around, not with his current numbers. However, they couldn't afford to fail either, because failure meant that they lost Shigaraki, who knew enough to cripple them, which was probably why their attack had fallen in the first place. They needed to pull out something that the heroes couldn't predict, something that Shigaraki's knowledge wouldn't help against, something so powerful that no matter, even if they knew what they're up against, they wouldn't be able to fight. Mineta pulled out his phone he stole from Kaminari. They needed the big guns. Ochako looked over to Hitoshi, who nodded, and both of them rushed forward. "What do you think you're doing here?" Hitoshi yelled. "If you want to get him, you're gonna have to go through us." "What are you?" Kirigiri went limp, just in time for Ochako to barrel into him and knock him from the brainwashing. She scrambled to her feet, with a grin, as Kirigiri started floating. "Gotcha. Gotcha." Ochako put her hands together. "Release." Dabi scowled and turned to Kirigiri. "Never mind, you useless waste of oxygen. I'll handle Shigaraki myself." Kirigiri nodded and disappeared, and Ochako grabbed Hitoshi's hands. "Let me know if you need me to stop." Hitoshi's expression hardened. "I'll stop when we catch him." Gravity shifted, and they ended up on the top of the school, but the moment they got there, Kirigiri left again. After 3 more jumps of this, Ochako stopped. "He's trying to wear us out." Hitoshi looked green. "It's working." Ochako bit her lip and looked around. They ended up in one of the fake cities that UA used to train. "If I can just get... Oh, I'm an idiot." "What?" Hitoshi frowned. "What did you realize?" "Well," Ochako started, "I can determine more or less where around my target's eye appear, right? So if I appear close enough, then I could grab him and bring him back." "Only if you're fast enough to do that before he gets away from you," Hitoshi pointed out. "His teleporting hasn't been throwing yours off, has it?" "Not enough that I can't handle this work." Ochako's eyes widened with determination as she dropped Hitoshi's hand. "I'll be back soon." Hitoshi nodded. And I'll be waiting. Shoto glanced back and forth between Shigaraki and Dabi before turning to Midoriya. There's a tunnel entrance just right here, right? The one your girlfriend came out of? Midoriya looked like he was about to say something else before he stopped himself with a blush. Yeah, the one my girlfriend came out of. That one. Shoto didn't have time to figure out that reaction. Nor did he think that was the most important thing to worry about while there was a psychopathic flame killer after them. I'll stay back and help Aizawa. You get Dusty to safety. Hatsume nodded. Got it. Do I get a say in this? Shigaraki complained. No, Midoriya answered shortly. Good luck, Todoroki. If you're going to do something, do it quickly. Aizawa snapped. I do have to blink eventually. Shoto glared back at Dabi and went to stand beside Aizawa. Go, we got this. I believe that I shall accompany you. Nezu said to Midoriya. I do not believe the computers in this room will be functional for that much longer. Your workroom has a better setup. And whose fault is that? Midoriya responds. There was a scramble behind them as they got into the tunnels, but Shoto was more concerned with the staring contest he was having with Dabi, who was confused and angry. Since when are you all buddy-buddy with Shigaraki? Shoto shrugged. Since my old man kicked me out, and he was the one who took me in. Dabi did a double take. Wait, Dad kicked you out? He didn't even kick me out. Shoto froze, his thoughts racing as he tried to make sense of that until everything finally clicked. Toya? Kirigiri knew he hadn't completely shaken the girl. Uraraka, that would have been a ridiculous assumption. If what Trapper had said was correct, she now had a permanent tag on him that could not be removed without a sacrificing change in weight, and it would not be safe to return to the base until that happened. He could starve himself for a few days. That would be simple enough, but there was the question of if the change would be significant. There was also the option of amputation, but he did not want to impact his usefulness to Sensei if he could help it. Basically, for the moment, he was out of good options. He felt something barrel into him, and then, all of a sudden, the world was shifting just like it did when he warped. He knew the girl must have grabbed him and forced him to teleport, but why would she do something like that? He was used to teleporting, and ending up in a new location, so there was no way she could throw him off by using that strategy. He readied himself for a fight before he even figured out where he had ended up, and his eyes widened when he heard Tomura's voice. I'm not coming back. Will you stop trying to grab me already? You surely can't be abandoning Sensei so easily. Kirigiri felt his brain go blank again, realizing too late that young Tomura was nowhere to be seen. He had fallen for the ruse, and this time, there was no one around to knock him out of it. He was somewhere within the UA training grounds, and alone with the teleporter and the brainwasher. Wonderful. All right, Hitoshi, the girl said. He's all yours. The brainwasher, Hitoshi Shinso, came into view, fiddling with a mask on his face that Kirigiri recognized as the support item he'd used during the sports festival. His quirk must have something to do with his voice then, rather than confusion as Trapper had suggested. Sensei would be pleased. I am really getting sick of this stupid sensation, Shinso murmured. Multiple people in the same head, which based on Spinner's answer means you got someone else's quirk. So, whose quirk do you have? Kirigiri didn't answer. Obviously, he didn't even know what Shinso was talking about. He wasn't a Nomu. He was simply Kirigiri. That was who he was, and who he had always been. Shinso facepalmed. Oh, right. I need to phrase it as an order, not a question. Tell me what quirks you have. Warp Gate is created from multiple quirks. Kirigiri answered, the shock of his response almost enough to knock him out of the brainwashing. Not quite, unfortunately, but Kirigiri's brain was absolutely reeling. He was a Nomu. He was just another one of the doctor's creation. But the Nonu were slaves, and he was Sensei's trusted servant. Right? Okay, Shinso hummed thoughtfully. Tell me where you got them. All for One gave them to me, Kirigiri answered. He stole them from their original holders. Ask him more about All for One, Uraraka said. I'm pretty sure he has something to do with One for All. Shinso nodded. Tell me about All for One and his connections with One for All. As soon as he said his name, Dabi turned tail and ran. Shoto gave chase as he threw himself out the window, and Shoto used an ice slide to follow him. Dabi, no, Toya snarled as she shot another jet of flames in Shoto's direction, melting the side so the heroes would have difficulty following. So you figured it out. What? You want a golden star or something? No, but an explanation would be nice. Shoto dodged the attack and shot back with an ice spear. I thought you were dead. Yeah, well, maybe it should have stayed that way. Dabi snapped. What you guys gonna do now? Go away to the old man? Are you kidding? I haven't talked to Endeavor in weeks, Shoto said. He kicked me out, remember? Why? Dabi huffed, but didn't send another more flame, which was progress. Why would the great Endeavor kick out his masterpiece? He was trying to prove that I needed him and his power to succeed, Shoto shrugged. And I figured out that I didn't. Dabi was silent for a long moment before he suddenly cracked up laughing. That is a bigger fuck you to Dad than I had ever thought of. Are you even going to be a hero? If I do, it won't be full-time, Shoto said. I'm actually going to make my name for myself as a gamer, so I want to see where that goes before I commit to anything. A gamer? Dabi crackled harder. Endeavor's perfect masterpiece is dropping out of heroics to be a gamer. Oh my god, that's amazing. Shoto considered pointing out that he may not be dropping out of heroics entirely, at least not right away, but figured at this point that strategy might start another boss fight, so it was probably better just to keep his mouth shut and let his brother have this. Eventually, Dabi stopped laughing and gave him a nod. Do me a favor, don't tell Dad I'm alive. I've got plans for how to devastate him even more than his failed masterpiece already has. Shoto smiled. I guess I look forward to seeing what you come up with then. Dabi shook his head and laughed as he walked away. A gamer. Shoto rolled his eyes. He took pride in being a disappointment, so Dabi's reaction didn't really bother him. He needed to reunite with his students, and I can't believe you got him to just walk away. Shoto tried to shoot a steam of fire in the direction of the voice, but his quirk didn't work. Shoto deflated in relief. Oh, Aizawa, it's just you. How much of that did you hear? Enough. Aizawa's hair fell. But don't worry, it would be illogical for me to spoil a secret you already promised to keep. Plus, I'm too curious too, also. He shot out his capture weapon and caught Shoto, as he couldn't run away. We need to talk about your living situation. All for One was angry. He was a patient man. He enjoyed pulling strings and then watching those tiny actions have great effects over decades. He had been looking forward to the sweet defamation of All Might's face when he realized Shigaraki's true identity for almost 15 years now, and yet that plan had been ruined in a moment by the stupid child's teenage rebellion. He'd raised Shigaraki to be his masterpiece, and carefully controlled his upbringing so that he would never question it. But no, somehow, when he wasn't looking, Tomura had decided that he wanted to be normal, as if that was even a possibility. Well, All Might's face when he realized he'd been too slow to save his master's grandchild from being murdered by his arch-nemesis would not be quite as exquisite, but it would make a half-decent consolation prize. It would have been easier to have Kirigiri warped him over to UA, but for some reason, he was unable to get in contact with that particular project, which probably meant he had fallen into the hands of the heroes. It was a terrible loss, one that he could undoubtedly blame Tomura for. But, at the very least, it would lead to the hero's learning his true identity, which would deal a powerful psychological blow in All for One's favor. Not ideal, but it was something he could work with, and arriving normally would make for a grander entrance anyways. He stood in front of UA gates, undamaged so far. The heroes inside hadn't yet called for outside backup. Most likely because they had the attack under control and to avoid any negative press coverage that could damage the school. All for One smiled. They wouldn't be able to cover it up after what he was about to do. He held up his hand. Air cannon ×3. Oh shit. No fucking way. Oh my god, what the fuck? Okay, breathe. Okay, first of all, breathe. Breathe. Okay, so, Toya and, Shoto, hilarious, funny, love that. Hashtag, haha. Kirigiri's out, great, love that. Are we gonna find out about Kirigiri being Oboro? Question mark. What's gonna happen with Shiggy? I just want my trauma boys to be happy. Is that too much to ask for? This isn't Cheat Code Support Strategist isn't about Izuku, isn't about Mei, it's not about Hitoshi. No, it's about my trauma boys. I am emotionally attached to them. Am I going to be later out finding fan fiction for my trauma boys, where we have a nice little found family? Maybe. Is it gonna be out there? No, I don't think so, and that just makes me upset. Am I trying to implement it in the streamerverse? A little bit. Yes. Just a little bit. Just a tad bit. It's kind of difficult considering where Shigaraki is. But I'm making it work. Kind of. There needs to be a motive for Todoroki to go to a place like that. Specifically for that person. Also, I don't think they would allow minors to do that. So, yeah. And do that. Oh, that sounds so cryptic. Hold up. Let me clarify. Shigaraki's in jail in the streamerverse. As of the current. He's in jail. So I don't know how I would put that together for the trauma boys. As much as I would love the trauma boys. I'm really thinking. I just want my trauma boys. I love my trauma boys. Trauma boys! Woo! Trauma boys. Oh, that's gonna end soon. I'm gonna cry again. I just want my trauma boys to be good. Also, what the frick is All for One gonna do? I'm sorry, crusty motherfucker. You be crusty, more crusty than fucking Shiggy over there. Like, stop. Nobody likes you. We get it. You're the reincarnation of evil itself. Shut the fuck up, bitch. No one gives a shit. God damn, he's so fucking annoying. Okay, as always, my raindrops. Make sure to eat. It's the fact that I would actually say that to him IRL. Like, let's say My Hero Academia was a real thing. I was in the My Hero Academia universe. I would say it to his face. Now, those in the comments saying, oh no, but wouldn't you be scared? I don't have a will to live. Okay? I'm in the mindset of, if it happens, it happens. Well, dang. Whatever. Right? So either, as I'm there, and like I'm quote-unquote scared, right? Let's say yeah, I get scared, right? Because I get scared in video games and stuff like that. My will to live has nothing to do with that. Okay, let's go under that preempt. I would flirt with the crusty bitch. I think, I mentioned this when I was playing video games. I flirt when I'm petrified. You know how much times I have to stop myself from absolutely flirting with the monsters when I'm playing horror games while streaming and role-playing as, I don't know, like Asashi or Shota or any other character? Too much to count, my dude. It is insane. I should not be wanting to flirt that much. It is insane. It is actually insane. It's actually insane. Like, what the hell? I should not be wanting to flirt this much. With literal things trying to kill me, too. Like, that ain't adding up. That don't add up. The math ain't nothing. But, as always, my raindrops, make sure to eat, sleep, drink water, take your meds. Have a wonderful day or night. Link to my Discord server and socials are down in the description. Subscribe to see more of my content, and thank you so much for watching.